Hey, Brutal Planet people. This is Dustin from the Brutal Planet crew. Thought I'd try something new this week and do kind of a video album review. I got a great one for you. It's Refused War Music. So, Refused, probably their biggest album is an album called Shape of Punk to Come. And if you know much about that band, and you've ever heard that album, it doesn't sound like punk rock at all. It's not Green Day or the Ramones or Black Flag or Descendants. It doesn't sound like any of that stuff. It sounds more like metal. And they're a Swedish band, so let's touch on that a little bit. So Shape of Punk to Come came out in 1998. And here's kind of a clip of what that looks like. So that was 1998. The Refused basically set the tone for the screamo era, I guess, in the early 2000s, when bands like Under Oath and The Used, and I mean The Used even sounds a little bit like Refused. And full disclosure, they're from the town I grew up in, so anyway, the point is, Refused is a band that has a lot of clout. They've been around for a long time, and that album, The Shape of Punk to Come, really was The Shape of Punk to Come. They kind of manifested that reality of the title. Back in 2012, they reunited after a 14-year pause or hiatus, and they headlined Coachella. And they released an album called Freedom. So that was their fourth studio album, and it was good. I think it kind of went under the radar for a lot of people because it wasn't as good as The Shape of Punk to Come. And it's like, how do you top that? You know what I mean? It's like Pink Floyd trying to top Dark Side of the Moon, or Metallica trying to top Master of Puppets. You know, that's a tough act to follow. So you can't really blame. So the other thing is, the singer, Dennis Lyxzén, was in another band for a while called the International Noise Conspiracy, INC. And you can hear a lot of that INC influence carrying over to the newer Refused stuff. So especially on Freedom, but getting to the new album, War Music, this, to me, in my opinion, after listening to it a few times, this is the best Refused album since The Shape of Punk to Come. And it's got, one of the things I think is great about this is American punk rock is so weak these days. Like, other than maybe like Bad Religion, maybe Rise Against, there's very few. I mean, punk is a political music. It's usually like has some kind of a political bent to it. And a lot of American bands these days, like Blink 182, I think, is probably the most prominent quote-unquote punk band right now. I mean, no offense, Blink, but I'm not a big fan. Travis Barker, you're awesome, but I've never been a fan of Blink 182. They don't do it for me. And no offense to them, you know, I'm sure they have a huge fan base. So, you know, I'm not talking trash. It's just, in my personal opinion, as far as punk rock goes, these Swedish guys are kicking it a lot harder than anything the US is doing recently. So let's kind of walk through the album real quick. So first off, next to Shape of Punk to Come, like I said, this is my favorite Refused album I think that they've put out, and it's their fourth album. Shape of Punk to Come was their second. The first was Songs to Fan the Flames of Discontent, and the third, of course, was Freedom. So basically, with the newer Refused stuff, you know, there's a lot of the International Noise Conspiracy influence. And I think one big differentiator between this one and Shape of Punk to Come that is actually really cool is it's all killer, no filler. Shape of Punk to Come had a lot of these little interludes and kind of cool little twisty, you know, almost like skits between the tracks. And this one is just like bam, 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 bam. Hitting you with hard, concise songs. It's pretty, I think it only runs a little over 30 minutes, like 30, 40 minutes. So it's not a super long album. It's like a punk album. You know, the songs are pretty cut and dried, straight to the, and it's a lot heavier, to be honest, than their stuff has been since Songs to Fan the Flames. This is probably their heaviest album since that one. So one thing that really stuck out to me about this, and if you're going to be a band like Refuse, this is important, is the lyrics. So the lyrics are just, they're very political, they're very but they're good. They're political, but they're esoteric. It's not like, oh, Trump is bad. It's like esoteric political stuff, so it's not even really, they're a European band, so the sentiment is not that rooted in American politics. It's just politics in general. But just to give you an idea, so the first song right off the bat is Rev 001. And the opening line, and it's what's really cool, I have to say, is the press kit that came with the album has the lyrics in it, which is rare. And I think that's great because I'm someone who pays close attention to lyrics. So the first song, anyway, Revolution 001, it just starts out with one more revolution, my love, one more time through the fire, one more revolution, once more we'll walk into enemy fire. So right off the bat, the album is called War Music, so that's what you would hope. It's about conflict, and they have these little quotes interspersed with the lyrics. So the first one has a quote from Ursula K. Le Guin that says, "We live in capitalism, its power seems inescapable, but then so did the divine right of kings. Any human power can be resisted and changed by human beings." So that's the first quote. So, just to give you an idea where these guys are coming from. And the thing that's great about this one is you can kind of feel that passion in the music. It's heavy stuff. And the political message kind of makes it even heavier, in my opinion. The way that they bring the soul of the song has a point. There's a real intellectual point behind the song, and they're making it through the lyrics and the music. So the next song is Violent Reaction, and I really like this one, and I especially love the quote they had before it. It's from Pussy Riot, and it says, "It's not a question of courage, it's a question of your development. Everything interesting begins with conflict." That is a great quote. Everything interesting begins with conflict. I love it. So, and this song, Violent Reaction, is a great song. The chorus kind of says, he keeps saying, level it all. And basically, we're a violent reaction to this, I'm a violent reaction to a world that's gone to shit, is the last line. So the next track is called I Want to Watch the World Burn. And the quote for this one is great. It's an Oscar Wilde quote, and it says, "A map of the world that does not include utopia is not even worth glancing at, for it leaves out the one country at which humanity is always landing. And when humanity lands there, it looks out, and seeing a better country sets sail. Progress is the realization of utopia." So, and then the chorus on this is, "I want to watch the world burn for what it's done. I want to watch the world burn for what we've become." So sticking with that theme again, man, these guys they're intense. They mean what they're talking about. They're talking about revolutionary stuff. And Sweden definitely has a little bit of a different bend than the United States does, obviously. It's still a capitalist country. There's plenty of entrepreneurs there. I used to work for some. But they have a much deeper social safety net, and they're a lot more socialist than the United States is. So the next song is called Blood Red, and this quote is great too. It's a Leon Trotsky quote, and it says, "Not believing in force is like not believing in gravity. I'll remain with blood on my hands" is the first line of the song, and the chorus, he just kind of chants, "Blood red till I'm fucking dead." Another great one. So the next track, Malfire, is probably my favorite track on the album. It's one of the heaviest ones, and it's just a great song. But the lyrics for that one are a little bit more. It's about wolves at the door. The wolves are at the door. They've made us look before. So then you got Turn the Cross, which is great. the quote there is Trotsky as well, says fascism is nothing but capitalist reaction. And the song Turn the Cross, the main refrain is turn the cross upside down. So as you can tell, I mean, these guys have a lot of very metal tendencies for a band that refers to themselves as punk or hardcore punk. There's a lot of very metal stuff going on here. Turn the cross upside down. Wave the flag soaked in rage, blind attacks, hate, hate, hate. Wave the flag soaked in rage. So that's a great song. And then moving on, we got Damage 3. And I'm not going to read you all these quotes, but here's another one. William Blake, the man who never alters his opinion is like standing water and breeds reptiles of the mind. William Blake. That's a great quote. And the chorus on this one, or the stuff at the end is great. He's screaming, I have violence coursing through my veins. I have war coursing through my veins. I have abuse coursing through my veins. I have deception coursing through my veins. And these guys, you can see from the press photos that these guys are a little bit older, but they're more intense than ever. And this album is, it's heavy stuff. So next song is called Death in Venice, and forgive me, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It has umlauts over the A's, but it has a quote from Frida Kahlo. It says, I don't give a shit what the world thinks. I was born a bitch. I was born a painter. I was born fucked, but I was happy in my way. You did not understand what I am. I am love. I am pleasure. I am essence. I am an idiot. I am an alcoholic. I am tenacious. I simply am. Simply I am. And that's Frida. So next song is called The Infamous Left, and they have a quote from Karl Marx in here. The tradition of all the dead generations weighs like a nightmare on the brain of the living. That's a good quote too. The tradition of all the dead generations weighs like a nightmare on the brain of the living. And this song just, is kind of a call to rise up, damned of the earth. It has Watches, The Time Is Now. So the last song, Economy of Death, again, a really metal sounding song. And the last quote they leave you with says, in the dark times, will there also be singing? Yes, there will also be singing about the dark times, Bertolt Brecht. So there you go. That's pretty much my summation of the whole album. It's a great album. It's heavy. It comes out this Friday, October 18th. And if you're a fan of Refused, you're not going to be disappointed. It's a great record. Better than Freedom. And just, like I said, my favorite Refused record since Shape of Punk to Come. So that's my take. Brutal Planet crew, signing off. Get out there and listen to this record, peeps. We'll see you next time.